This is this is like from the top of that building. You can see the shadow that we were just looking down into the piazza. This is what the piazza looks like most of the time. It's open, we walk around, there's lots of little shops and there's a great little pizza place right here. And and we'll have time to, everybody just kind of scatter, go find some soup or pizza or whatever you want. We'll meet back here in an hour kind of thing. Lots of cool little shops. There's like a little Swiss clock shop over here that I always lose Rob in. And this is the racetrack for the Palio. Just this little thing around the piazza. They bring in sand, they set it all up, and they get horses from the middle of nowhere. Like they go out into Uncle Charlie's farm and pick a horse. So it's not even like they make such a huge deal out of it, but it's just like some random horse. And then this right angle right here is deadly. I mean, tons of the jockeys just fly off the horse right there. But it's okay because it's not about the jockey, it's about the horse. So they don't care. I know, you're listening to this going like, what? And that's what it looks like the day of the Palio. That's that big empty space in the middle, okay? Our particular, the two Palios are in the summer. So the one time that Rob and I went, we were right after one of the Palio. And our tour guide, they're beautiful. The women there are so coiffed. Like every scarf is tied perfectly. They're amazing looking people. And heels like this on cobblestone, you're like, okay. And she says, and she had dark glasses on. So the trick was, she says, now you've noticed how the Sienese women are dressed, how we're very manicured, we take very good care of ourselves, everything matters. But this is days after the Palio, and she takes her sunglasses off, she has a black eye. Like anything goes the day of the Palio. If you're like on the border, like this is one contratti and that one's over there, and there's some guy close enough, they just duke it out right there. It's really bizarre, you guys. And you can't be in Siena more than 10 minutes without seeing something that has to do with the Palio. This is their big ceremony. Everything is very, very traditional in Italy. We did not see this. We've never seen this ceremony. It lasts a whole week. It's really beautiful. They wear all their medieval costuming from way back when. All right. Yes.
I was just going to say, Daphne du Maurier wrote a wonderful mystery novel about the Siena and the Palio.
Really?
It's not very big.
Oh, give me email it to me.
I can't remember the title, but I'll look it up for you.
Okay,
it's
that'd
wonderful.
be great.
She
Some people do have time, and those of you that read, it'd be I'm telling you guys, on a trip like this, the more you know, the better. You are going to get so much out of this. The more you know before we go. Anything that's on the itinerary, get on the internet, find stuff. If you find something interesting that I'm not mentioning, please give it to me and let me ship it out to everyone else. Because the more you know, the more exciting it is. And we have a big group this time. So we will have some Whisper headsets part of the time, but part of the time we won't. And it's very difficult. We'll even practice that before we go. We'll get three layers around the short ones in the front and the middle ones and the tall ones, so that if I go, okay, quick, get there, you guys know how to huddle around that guide and listen. Because if the tall ones get in the front and there's some little one in the back, 4 or 5 deep, they're talking, they're looking around at something else. And I learned this. I used to get really upset about it because I'm right on the tour guide. I want to know everything, right? I'm right in the front. And there'd be people talking. I'm like, what the heck? And then all of a sudden, Rob and I went one time with an adult tour, and I kept ending up in the back, and I couldn't hear what was going on. And what was I doing? I was wandering off over here. I was looking in this window. I'm reading something on a plaque somewhere. Rob, come here. And he's just like, do you realize who you are right now on this tour? You're that kid. I'm like, no, it is really all about being able to hear. You're that kid. He's always in the back going, come on. Yeah, I was that kid. So I really want to make sure that everyone can get in a position where they can hear and be part of what's going on. Because as soon as you don't feel like you're part, it's just boring. This is the Duomo in Florence. This is the most magnificent building.
It's cool.
We are going to see a video called The Medici, Godfathers of the Renaissance, and they really go through Cosimo de' Medici, how the whole Renaissance movement started, how he went back to Greece and dug up all the stuff that really put the world into the modern era. And it's fascinating how the whole thing progressed from the Middle Ages right into the Renaissance, and how very quickly, once the Renaissance began, the world just sort of woke up. It just woke back up. Okay, we're going to see the facade of this, all around this building, are red, white, and green marble. And you see that a lot. It's very symbolic. White is for the purity, red is for the blood of Christ, and green is for life. And they use red, white, and green a lot. Their flag is red, white, and green. You see those three colors together a lot. And those are the three most important things they think that matter in life. Look how tiny the people are. Yeah, those are people. Now, here's something I forget frequently to explain. Each town has its own Duomo. You'll hear, all of a sudden you're in Siena, and they'll say, this is the Duomo, and you're somewhere else, and this is the Duomo. I'm like, what does that mean? The word Duomo actually means seat. And what it is, you guys, is whatever church in that town is the Duomo. It's not even always the biggest one. Usually is, though. It just means that if the Pope or a cardinal happens to come to that town, that's their seat. That's where they will do Mass. So it's sort of, that's why they use the word seat. It's like that spot. And so every single town will have its own Duomo. This is the baptistry at Florence. It's right outside the cathedral. It's very rare that you're going to get any shot ever, even on a postcard, because there are so many buildings around. You can see all the other buildings are close. You can't back up enough to even take those pictures. So the other thing you're going to want to do while we're on the tour is buy postcards, because you're not going to get those shots. There's no way you're going to get a shot of this cathedral, no matter what. So what you do is you take pictures of your friends standing on the steps of the Duomo, or wherever we are, or in front of the Eiffel Tower, or whatever. But when it comes to like having a real picture of the item itself, you just buy those postcards. They do those like 5 fold-out things for €1. You just grab those along the way and bring those home, okay? Because somebody in a helicopter is going to get a much better shot on a postcard than you can. And this is fascinating. You'll see lots of things, and I'm going to end with this. You'll see lots of things that are octagonal. And I finally asked one time, why are so many things of the church in 8 sides? Well, they consider that the 8 days of creation, the 7 that God has already used. It's so funny when they try to translate this into English. The 7 that God has already used, and the 8th being the day that Jesus will return. So the 8th day has not happened yet. That's in their hope. So that's kind of a fun thing. Just really symbolic. This is the doors, the bronze doors on that baptistry. Look up Ghiberti and the bronze doors. Try to see if you can get where you can see each one of those 10 panels. Each one of them represents something, and all the way from creation to Solomon. There's like there's one where Abraham has Isaac up on the stone. There's one where Jacob is passing out the grain to his brothers. I mean, all kind of the major events of that Old Testament are in these 10 panels, and they're breathtaking. They're really amazing. There was a big contest. All of the Renaissance artists at the time tried to get the commission to do these doors, and Ghiberti actually was the one who won the toss. Okay? All right, I am going to show you guys one of our little travel things. The kids and I need to get together, and we need to decide when we want to watch our movies. Because there's some really, really cool. We can just get our beanbag chairs in here, and I bring food, and we just watch.
Land, cars are boats, streets are canals, and reality and fantasy blur. Walking alone on the back streets of Venice, something bewitches and takes hold of you. This is magical, mysterious Venice. The city's very existence defies reason. Built on mud flats and wooden stilts, it's a patchwork of land and sea. Yet this watery town became an empire, and for some 800 years grew in strength, wealth, and pride. From the 10th through the 17th centuries, Venice was the gateway to the east. Merchants from all over the known world met here. And Piazza San Marco was the grand entryway to the city. My daughter Sarah and I are off to explore this, the most famous piazza in all the world.
Here's the bridge of size.
Pigeons may just outnumber tourists in Piazza San Marco. Some say they descended from birds the Doge released every Palm Sunday. The bell tower, the Campanile, collapsed in 1902. The only casualty was the caretaker's cat. The new Campanile, completed in 1912, is true to the original. The lion is the symbol of Venice, and nothing better represents Venetian tenacity, glory, and pride. The gem of the piazza is the Basilica of San Marco. Unlike any other church in Italy, it looks as though it jumps straight from the pages of a fairy tale. Around the year 800, Venice was shopping for a patron saint. A couple of merchants stole the remains of Saint Mark from Alexandria. They hid the saint in a basket of pork to repulse the Muslim customs officers and to keep them from checking the contents. Saint Mark was a handy traveling companion. He woke the sleeping crew during a storm to save them from destruction. Merchants returning from their travels always stopped at the Basilica to pay homage to their patron saint and to offer jewels or artwork that they picked up on their travels. The celebrated bronze horses, stolen from Constantinople, are one of Venice's most prized spoils. The horses outside are copies. The originals are on display in a small museum upstairs in the Basilica.
See, like if you don't know about the museum, you don't know to go there. It's right there,
the
you know?
mosaics sparkle. It's best to stop by the Basilica to find out the wedding schedule. After paying homage to San Marco, merchants loaded their wares into smaller boats and set off down the Grand Canal. To follow their route, take the Vaporetto down the Grand Canal. Buongiorno. We have 1 3-day pass. If you plan more than one trip, buy a 1, 3, or 7-day pass. Stamp it in the yellow machine to validate. If San Marco is Venice's exotic reception room, the Grand Canal is a main street of the imagination. Lacy palaces line both sides of the canal, like set pieces for a fantasy. Those plundering, seafaring Venetian merchants traveled, traded, and amassed great fortunes. The palaces were their houses. That's why many have the prefix "ca," which is short for casa, the Italian word for house. The rich families were so competitive about displaying their wealth that sumptuary laws were passed to limit this competition. The state ordered all gondolas painted black, excessive finery in palaces was outlawed, and a
See why you don't want your gondola there drunk?
trains of women's dresses.
See that?
Ah, but the Venetians found a way. Women began wearing enormous platform clogs so they could lengthen their dresses. The shoes were so high, women couldn't walk without the help of 2 escorts to hold them up. The Venetians were an odd mix of the democratic and the tyrannical. The wealthy families elected their doge, even put checks and balances on his power. At the same time, citizens regularly denounced each other to the secret police. The accuser slipped his complaint into one of the many lions' mouths around the city. Returning merchants stopped here. The Rialto Bridge is the center of Venice. It's the trading district, the very heart of town. In its heyday, the Rialto Bridge was a meeting place for merchants from all over the world. Just next to the bridge on the west side of the river, the Pesceria and the Urberia, fish and vegetable markets, have been going strong for 1,000 years.
The alleys and quays are still named for the items traded.